Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Rajan, and I have an amazing opportunity to talk with a guest today that I've been excited to get on, especially because he is, I say, a staple here in Brevard. I mean, it seems like everybody knows the guy. He's probably one of the coolest people I've been able to have a conversation with, but when I tell you, we dive into so much in terms of, real estate, life, AI, fishing, surfing. I mean, it's just one of these messages that you just don't want to miss. And I have the pleasure of interviewing today Mr. Gibbs Baum from One Sotheby's. Thank you so much for being a part of this, Gibbs.
Absolutely.
And I am excited, man. I have wanted to have this opportunity, and thank you so much for coming. And, I know you're going to be bringing a lot of information to the people looking out there.
10-4. Look, and I appreciate the time today, and I want to do it again sometime as well. I had a great time.
All right. Well, listen, check out this interview. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to have some good laughs, too.
Oceanfront people come to me all the time, and we look at 4 or 5, and they're like, it kind of smells like mold in here. It smells like, look, there's water intrusion here. And look, every oceanfront has water intrusion.
I have it happening to me.
But you can't stop the wind and the rain at
That's right.
70 plus miles an hour. But we talk about it all the time. You've got the barometric pressure of the outside versus the barometric pressure of the inside.
Yep.
And then you throw that 70 mile an hour wind in the water, your house sucks like a vacuum on any little hole in and around sliders and windows and all that. It's drawing that in because of that pressure difference.
Yeah.
So people don't think about it.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because even for me, right, you're awed by the view.
Right.
And you're like, that's it. This is where I want to be
That's
at.
the money shot,
Right?
right?
Like, this is it.
Yes.
I can wake up. I see the sunrise. I see everything, sunset. This is it. I want to be here.
Yeah.
And then they buy it, and then you have buyer's remorse. Because, again, like you said, and I'm glad that we're talking about this, and this is maybe a great way, just even for other professionals in the industry to understand that, hey, it's not about losing a deal, but it's about, showing your clients and advising them, right? Like,
a
telling
real
them, like, this is
solution.
what you-
Real solution, like a wise, open, eyes wide open decision, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
And being able to say, hey, listen, let me educate you a little bit. I know this is great, and I definitely want you to fall in love with this, but I also want you to understand that it also comes with a price of upkeep.
Right.
When you're
Right.
oceanfront,
Right.
there is a lot of upkeep because
Right.
that salt,
Right.
it does a lot of damage, right? Like,
Yeah, you can even say, "Oh, take that with a grain of salt." No, take it with a bunch of salt. Because around here, everything, like, I used to tell people all the time, I live oceanfront now. Mm-hmm. Before I lived oceanfront, I told people all the time, yes, there's additional maintenance. Yes, we see this. Yes, we see this on properties. Yes, you have to do this. Your air conditioner, perfect example.
Yeah, I know.
Air conditioner right on the ocean, 3.5, 4 years if you're lucky.
Yes.
Even if you do a coastal unit, maybe 5 years.
Yep.
And then you go just right across the street because I have a rental right across the street from the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, right across the street. 10 years. You double the
different.
time of
So
the amount
different.
that the outside AC will work.
And like you said, not just the AC, but even the inside appliances, right? Like, people don't realize that. Like, it gets everywhere in there, right?
Everybody comes to us. You got to hear this. Everybody comes to us, and they're like, well, where are all the screens on these oceanfront houses? And I go, well, the screens, all the little pieces of the screens rust, and we're going to have rust marks coming down the outside of the building, number one. And number two, if you crack your window more than just like get the smoke out of the house from cooking, if you do more than that, your refrigerator where the water comes down, where you put your drink against the refrigerator, that starts to rust. And if it's stainless, I don't care. I've seen stainless that I can put my finger right through because it's just too much moisture. I mean,
right.
we're right on the edge of subtropical, tropical line, right?
Yes.
So you can't take that environment and expect to live in that environment without making adjustments to your daily life, right?
Absolutely.
It's so much different than living anywhere else.
Absolutely. And then obviously there's the situation with mold you have to be careful with. Now, and that's why I'm trying to say, like, these are all things when I bought, I was like, wow, didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But now that I understand it, I can educate other people. And that's why I said, I think, that's a great thing for agents to be able to tell, especially people that are not familiar with the area, right? Like me coming from New York,
right?
I had no idea. Again, I got sold on, oh my goodness, look at that view. I can wake up to this.
Right.
And that's beautiful. But
6 months later,
right,
paying double or triple the amount of maintenance, a lot of people come to us and go, hey, yeah, we loved the oceanfront house, and now we want to sell it, and we want to be across the street, and we want, because you give up, there's a reminds me all the time, Treasure Planet. It's a Disney movie. And the first mate is looking at the young boy, and the boy looks at him, and he's got like one prosthetic leg, and he's got a bionic arm and a bionic eye. And he said, the young kid says, what happened to you? He goes, son, you give up a few things chasing a dream.
There you go.
And it's true, because you chase that oceanfront dream, and then you get there and you realize, okay, I can't really have a garden. If you like to garden, and you can't have that. I mean, maybe on the west side of the building in the little pocket where the wind and the salt is not whipping, right? Because we get so much wind and people don't think about that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And then you got like a condo and a big building, and then your house, and then another condo, and then you take the wind that's coming off the ocean and it channels between those buildings.
Yes.
So
and it's if it's perfect wind tunnel coming through there.
If it's not sea grapes, it's not growing, right?
Yes, exactly.
People come into town. What is that plant? I go, that's sea grapes. They go, why am I seeing it everywhere? Because it's the only thing that'll grow in salt and wind.
Yeah. But again, I feel like at least if they're educated on that, then they can make a more informed decision of, hey, like you just said, do I really want to be ocean? Because while it's great, they bought that property, but now you're having to have that conversation with them 6 months later where they're like, hey, look, it's not working out. We want to relocate.
Right.
I feel like that's just something that is not often talked about. Right. With prepping people about that stuff.
Or why didn't you tell us? Hey, Gibbs, why didn't you let us know that every oceanfront house will wick water in a storm? Why didn't you let us know that we would be dealing with... Why didn't you let us know the fan can't be on the on setting on your air conditioner because it causes mold?
It pulls, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So, okay, so, people up north, they hop into a house, they're bringing in their groceries, and they hit on their AC fan because they think it's just blowing. Yep. And then you step away from it here, and suddenly 4 days later, you have air-driven mold.
Mold all over the place.
Right. And then you're calling a mold remediation company, and they can come in and wipe, and they can fog, and they can do this, and then they exit. But it is an education process that we put in front of people throughout that whole transaction. And it is funny to think about. And the biggest thing, and I always think to myself, I don't ever want to come across as like omniscient, right? Knowing everything, like a pompous ass, right? I don't want to be that. But I have so much information that I've gained over the years that it's almost difficult for me to go with somebody
to not do that
and not say, hey, we got to watch this. Hey, we got to watch this. Hey, we got to watch that.
For me personally, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like I want to know, and we were just joking about it earlier, right? But I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, here's the thing: I might know the ugliest of stuff. Like again, even with that condo, right? I might know, hey man, you're gonna have to go through all of this crap. But you know what? I'm okay with it.
Because that view is worth it.
It's worth it, right? But I can make that decision and gauge it.
Eyes wide open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I'm going to look back at it and be like, you know what? Gibbs is the guy. Because you know something? He gave me all that information. Right. I know what I got into. I know why I got into it. And if I ever want to buy something else, that's the guy that I want in my corner because he's given me all the information.
Yeah. And look, it causes me not to sell things at times.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And I know people are looking at this like, are you serious? Like, it's okay losing deals. No, it's okay.
It is.
Because you know what? Your reputation, your brand stands out when you do that.
And honestly, for me, over the years, I mean, it's a whole lot easier when you're not worried about making the phone bill, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, but for me, over the years, I've always had the thought process and concept, and it's because the first guy I got into real estate with was the same exact way. Mm-hmm. I crossed industries. I came into it. I had a ton of corporate sales and marketing background, right? Mm-hmm. Came into the industry, and I'm like, yeah, let's run down there. Let's do it, And he's like, wait a second, man. Look. Mm-hmm. The way to make a commission is to take care of the client.
That's it. Don't look at the money.
Don't worry about like, it drives me insane now because of the new NAR changes.
Yep.
People call me and go, what are you paying commission on that?
I know.
What are you worried about that?
Right,
Let's put
exactly.
together a deal. You're
Let's
going to
get
get
a deal.
paid. Look,
That's it.
I didn't structure this deal for you not to get paid.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're getting 50%
Yep.
of what I make on the thing,
Yep.
too. And I have that conversation with people, but it drives me crazy that that's the first phone call. Hey, what are you guys paying commission on that?
Because it just makes it transactional now, right?
Yeah.
It takes out of the beauty
Right.
of buying a property, right? Whether it's a first time property or a first time buyer, vacation, or even an investment.
Right.
But there is a beauty that goes into buying a property, and you're
Yeah.
taking that out now
It
and
is.
just making it strictly transactional. Because, like you said, the first conversation is just money.
Right.
Right?
But now it's
Forget
crazy.
about the house, money.
It's crazy now, too. People call me and say, hey, I want to, like I had a phone call today. Hey, I want to look at 5489 Highway A1A. Great. What time? And set that up. And I just want to keep it about meeting them there, right?
Yeah.
But now with the new changes, once I get there, I'm going to have to say, hey, thanks for meeting me here. Here is a showing agreement.
Yep.
That's 100, and you have to explain it right?
Yes.
You can't just say, hey, this is shows me how much I'm making on this
Yeah,
property.
yeah,
It's not what it is.
Right.
Hey, this is a transparent document, so you understand before we walk through the threshold
Yes.
who's getting paid and what's getting done on the transaction, and there is nothing. It is 100% transparent for you, and that's really the way you got to present it.
Absolutely.
Because then it makes sense. But if you walk up and go, hi, are you working for an agent? I need you to sign this piece of paper.
Right.
It's like such
because
a
especially
turn
for a
off.
buyer, right? And especially for a buyer, it's just like it just slaps you in the face, right? Like I haven't even seen the property. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I want to buy, not buy. I don't know anything. But the first thing you're seeing and saying to me is, "Boom, sign this."
Yeah. And I even feel disingenuous to even have that conversation. So, right from when the new rule came out, it was like, okay, how are we going to deal with this? And for me, I have to digest things.
Yeah.
Right? Like I go to the meetings, hey, this is what we want you to say. Hey, I have to digest it. I may even have to type it out. I may even have to think about it and sleep and wake up in the next morning and have something in my brain. But it's those little things that ultimately I'll find a sound bite that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once I have that sound, and it's not a sound bite. This is a funny thing about sales, right? So it's not a sound bite that works to get me a commission. It's a sound bite that works in the smallest number of words that a buyer or somebody I'm working with can understand it and move on, because we're going to cover a lot of stuff.
Yes.
People don't, sometimes I'll ride with people all day, and at the end of the day, they are mentally and physically exhausted.
Yeah.
And we saw 10 houses.
Right.
You think, oh shit, I could run into 10 houses.
Just
That's
look,
no problem.
walk out, and whatever, right?
Yeah. But it's
there's
not
just
that
so
way.
much going behind.
Yeah,
there.
because I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna, we'll be in a house and I'll say, hey, look, guys, what's the feel of the house? Well, we're not so sure. It's got a weird smell. I go, well, I did notice behind this baseboard, it's popping. The reason it's popping is most likely some kind of water has gotten behind that baseboard.
Yep.
Or I'll say, hey, I saw a couple small ceiling spots, and that's either a wind-driven during a hurricane leak, or no matter what, we need to make sure that we go ahead and pull the permits on the house, see when the roof was replaced.
Yes.
We're going to obviously inspect the roof, but then a lot of people think, oh, yeah, I'll just get a home inspection.
Right.
No, it's not just a home inspection. Is there septic? Are we going to – because we had one fail septic yesterday.
Wow.
Right? So they put in a pool. They took out 25% of the drain field to put in the pool.
Oh, my goodness.
And then so we do the septic inspection and it's
like,
not
what's going on
working.
here?
And then, we dig into it even deeper, come to find out that the prior owner had done it. Sold it to this guy.
Without them
The
doing
agent
inspections,
didn't
whatever.
do any due diligence on it. They didn't do a septic inspection. They had no clue. Now this guy's got a $20,000 replacement that he's got to put in there.
Right.
So and people talk about that, or we talk about that all the time. It's not just the septic. It's not just the home. It's mold. Are you susceptible to mold? All right, let's do a mold test.
Yeah.
Every house in Florida has mold.
Especially if you've got kids, that's so important, right?
Exactly.
Like if you've got kids, you want to know.
Right, right.
And like
or
you said,
asthmatic, or whatever the case may be.
And I'm glad that you're covering that too, because see, I feel like especially a lot of people that are going to be looking at these videos, they're not strictly from Florida. Right. Because there's just such a mass amount of people that's coming down here.
Right.
And it's so important to be educated on the area that you're buying in, right? As I said,
Yeah.
and I've learned that the hard way because I did that, and there was just so many things that I'm like, wow, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that.
I even have people that call me from Vero, and they go, "Hey, look, we want to come up and look at a couple of houses," and you know, they're an agent and they're representing a buyer. Buyers from, let's call it New York.
Yeah.
Agents from, you know, Vero Beach, which is only, you know, an hour away, really.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
hour.
Exactly.
Like an hour, but it's a different county.
Yep.
Right? So they don't realize that up here you're buying in Brevard County unincorporated up until like the 4400 block, right? They don't realize that before the 4400, you're actually, you know, city water, city sewer. Below that, or, you know, further south of that, then you're well and septic.
Yeah, well, and that's a huge difference there now.
Huge, because, well, like our wells around here, like it makes me want to jump out of the seat because, like, our wells around here, if you don't have something that's getting the sulfur smell out of them, whether it's the peroxide, the full RO system, or whether you're just doing an aerator, that's like step one.
Yep.
Right?